Hey, what is up guys, MKBHD here, and in case you haven't already seen, there are some videos floating around that suggest that the iPhone 6 Plus bends a lot. My buddy Lou from Unbox Therapy uploaded a video yesterday. You've probably already seen it, and it's clearly demonstrating in his video that he's bending his iPhone 6 Plus with his bare hands, and thus Bendgate was born. So here's what you need to know about what's going on here. First, there were a few articles of people putting this huge iPhone in their front pocket and then noticing some little bends after a while or after some activity. And then some articles were published about how this may be a problem. And then Lou's video was published, which blew up. But of course, in Lou's demo, he's actually trying to bend the phone. He's putting a lot of force into it for a prolonged period of time, much more than these phones are designed to handle on an everyday basis, and basically pulls on it until it compromises the structural integrity of the body of the phone. Now, when you have a large surface like that, especially a soft metal like aluminum, the center of it tends to be the weakest point, and that's where it's going to bend. But imagine you have a piece of paper and you fold it in half a couple of times. You can continue to fold it in half and bend it as much as you want, but eventually you'll get to a point where the paper is so thick that you can't quite fold it in half one more time. And that's because at that point the paper is now thicker, it's now reinforced by the other pieces of paper, and now it's also much more compact. The iPhone 6's back is not compact, it's not reinforced, and it's not thick. It's a large, flat, thin sheet of unibody aluminum. So of course when you twist it or torque it or put a lot of pressure into it, it's gonna give, because that's what soft metals do. So why make a phone, Apple, out of a material that's going to easily bend when you twist it? Well, obviously, number one, like we said, those are not normal forces it's supposed to be taking, but also number two, why don't other metal phones bend like that? We have the HTC One M8. You try to bend that thing, it absolutely will not bend even a little bit, and even other phones that have a bit of metal around the outside, like the Moto X 2014, that didn't really bend either when I tried. As it turns out, most of these other smartphones have what's called a magnesium chassis, and magnesium makes up the chassis inside of these other phones. The iPhone 6 doesn't have that, and unfortunately, that's why it's not quite as structurally sound. Also, it's a large flat sheet of aluminum, which means it has plenty of stress points where it could easily bend, where a lot of these other phones are made of multiple parts, where if you try to bend it, you're not really bending a very large sheet, you're bending a more compact part of the back of the phone, which isn't going to bend the whole thing. For the record though, the iPhone 6 is not the only phone to bend. The iPhone 5S, the Samsung Galaxy S4, the Sony Xperia Z1, the iPhone 5, the Oppo Find 5, these have all been phones noted to bend under high amounts of pressure, but then again, it's high amounts of pressure. Just avoid high amounts of pressure. But since it's a bit more of an expensive Apple product that happens to be known for its design and its build quality and material use over the years, it's going to get a lot more attention because you would expect this to hold up better than others. Now, the thing is, it might seem like a big deal now. Bendgate was trending worldwide on pretty much every social network out there, but it's only a couple phones that are actually bending like this. You may or may not recall, Apple has sold 10 million iPhone 6s and 6 Pluses this past weekend. So a couple of phones bending will not cause a recall. In fact, they can just replace a couple of them at the Apple Store, and that's much quieter and much less expensive. If you have an iPhone 6 and you're worried about it bending in your pocket, first of all, don't be worried unless you're like extreme sitting or doing some other weird things in your pants. But there's a new TLD Today video up, and I'll leave a link to that video right below the like button. I'll also leave Lou's video, but the TLD video shows that having a case on your iPhone 6 Plus may actually help with the structural rigidity. Again, it's an already massive phone, and putting a case on that already huge phone will make it even bigger, but if you're that concerned about putting it in your back pocket or front pocket and bending it, then that's an option you have. What it all comes down to for me is, and I've said this before, the iPhone 6 Plus is 6.9 millimeters thin. It's a super thin phone. But because of that, you have a protruding camera, you have a slightly smaller than it could be battery, and you now have it bending. And I think if they made a slightly thicker iPhone 6 Plus, you would not only not have a protruding camera, but you'd also have a little bit better structural rigidity, and you'd be able to fit a bigger battery in there. Just a thought, Apple. I said this in my iPhone 6 impressions video, and I've said it before, and I'm not the only one to say it. But I think a thicker phone would have been a-okay with a lot of people. But it seems the internet has a thing for bending stuff, so I'll let you sit back, relax, enjoy Bendgate. It's actually kind of funny if you've read the stuff. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.